Quilcene National Fish Hatchery is located in Washington State on the Olympic Peninsula. It's located approximately 75 miles north of Olympia, Washington on US Highway 101. On August 20th, 2011, the hatchery will celebrate its 100th year of operation, raising fish and releasing them for use by the American people.
When Quilcene National Fish Hatchery started operations in 1911, the focus was upon commercial fishing, upon fishing as a business, fish for food and profit. Life 100 years ago was a lot rougher, and accordingly the people were a lot tougher. The hatchery building was heated with wood, and you either chopped that with an axe or you cut it with a handsaw. There wasn't any chainsaw. There was no indoor plumbing until 1924, and that meant an outhouse. Electricity did not arrive until 1925, and if you needed light, it was by kerosene lamp. There was no television, no washer and dryer, no hot water heater, no radio in those days. Since there was no electricity, we couldn't freeze our fish food. So that meant you made your fish food by hand, and you smoked it or you salted it to preserve it. Contagious diseases were a real threat in those days because vaccines didn't exist for most of the more serious ones. In the 1930s, emphasis shifted and we began to produce trout for stocking of the national parks and also military reservations. The 1940s saw World War II, and rationing became the norm at the hatchery as well as for the nation. The 1950s and 60s saw greater prosperity in America, and a more mobile and affluent nation was pursuing more recreational fishing opportunities. The hatchery was expanded and modernized during both decades, and by the early 1960s, the trout program had grown to encompass 2/3 of our total production. In 1979, the trout program was phased out and emphasis shifted back to anadromous salmonids. Recognition and support for treaty tribal fishing rights became increasingly important, and in the last 20 years, a great priority has been placed on hatchery conservation programs for depressed and listed stocks of fish. Today, Quilcene National Fish Hatchery is a far cry from its humble beginnings 100 years ago, but still serves a vital purpose in conserving America's fisheries and serving the American public.